Welcome to our channel. Today we are going to know about Rudraksha, sacred bead, stone. Rudraksha refers to the dried stones or seeds of the genus Eleucarpus, specifically, Eleucarpus gonitris. These stones serve as prayer beads for Hindus, especially Shaivas, Buddhists and Sikhs. When they are ripe, Rudraksha stones are covered by an inedible blue outer fruit, so they are sometimes called blueberry beads. The stones are associated with the Hindu deity Shiva and are commonly worn for protection and for chanting mantras such as Om Namah Shivaya. They are primarily sourced from India, Indonesia, and Nepal for jewelry and malas, garlands, and valued similarly to semi-precious stones. Rudraksha can have up to 14 faces, Sanskrit, mukh, mukha, or locules, naturally ingrained longitudinal lines which divide the stone into segments. Each face represents a particular deity. Etymology: Rudraksha is a Sanskrit compound word consisting of Rudra and Aksa. Sanskrit dictionaries translate Aksa as eyes. Rudraksha may be interpreted as meaning eye of Rudra. Rudra is a Vedic precursor to Shiva. Description: Rudraksha tree. Of the 300 species of Eleucarpus, 35 are found in India. The principal species of this genus is Eleucarpus gonitris, which has the common name of Rudraksha tree, and is found from the Gangetic Plain in the foothills of the Himalayas to Nepal, South and Southeast Asia, parts of Australia, Guam, and Hawaii. Eleucarpus gonitris trees grow to 60-80 feet, 18-24 meter. They are evergreen trees which grow quickly, and as they mature their roots form buttresses, rising up near the trunk and radiating out along the surface of the ground. Fruit: the Rudraksha tree starts bearing drupes, fruit, in 3 to 4 years from germination. It yields between 1,000 and 2,000 fruits annually. These fruits are commonly called Rudraksha fruit, but are also known as Amritaphala, fruits of ambrosia. The pyrena of the fruit, commonly called the pit, or stone, is typically divided into multiple segments by seed-bearing locules. When the fruit is fully ripe, the stones are covered with a blue outer fleshy husk of inedible fruit. The blue color is not derived from a pigment but is due to structural coloration. Rudraksha beads are sometimes called blueberry beads, in reference to the blue color of the fruit. Chemical composition: Rudraksha fruits contain alkaloids, flavonoids, tannins, steroids, triterpenes, carbohydrates, and cardiac glycosides. They also contain rudrakain, an alkaloid which had been discovered in Rudraksha fruit in 1979. Types of Rudraksha stones: Rudraksha stones are described as having a number of facets or faces, mukhi, which are separated by a line or cleft along the stone. Stones typically have between 1 and 14 faces. Those with a single face, ekmukhi, are the rarest. Rudrakshas from Nepal are between 20 and 30 mm, 0.79 and 1.38 in, and those from Indonesia are between 5 and 25 mm, 0.20 and 0.98 in. Rudraksha stones are most often brown, although white, red, yellow, or black stones may also be found. Many types of stone are described. Gauri Shankar are two stones which are naturally conjoined. Savar are Gauri Shankar, in which one of the conjoined stones has just one face. Ganesha are stones which have a trunk-like protrusion on their bodies. Trijuti are three stones which are naturally conjoined. Other rare types include Veda, 4 conjoined savars, and Dvaita, 2 conjoined savars. Religious uses in Indian origin religions. Rudraksha stones may be strung together as beads on a garland, mala, which can be worn around the neck. The beads are commonly strung on silk, or on a black or red cotton thread. Less often, jewelers use copper, silver or gold wires. The Rudraksha beads may be damaged if strung too tightly. The Devi Bhagavata Purana describes the preparation of Rudraksha garlands. Hindus often use Rudraksha garlands aids to prayer and meditation, and to sanctify the mind, body, and soul, much as Christians use prayer beads and rosaries to count repetitions of prayer. There is a long tradition of wearing 108 Rudraksha beads in India, particularly within Shivism, due to their association with Shiva, who wears Rudraksha garlands. Most garlands contain 108 beads plus 1 because as 108 is considered sacred and a suitable number of times to recite a short mantra. The extra bead, which is called the Meru, Bindu, or Guru bead, helps mark the beginning and end of a cycle of 108 and has symbolic value as a principal bead. Rudraksha garlands usually contain beads in combinations 27 jod 1, 54 jod 1, or 108 jod 1. The mantra Om Namah Shivaya, associated with Shiva, is often chosen for repetitions, japa, using Rudraksha beads. Cultivation: Rudraksha is primarily cultivated in the foothills of the Himalayas, mainly in Nepal and India. The most popular varieties of Rudraksha are found in the regions of Kathmandu, Kulu, and Rameshwaram in India. There are several naturally occurring trees of Rudrakshas in the alpine forests of Dhauladhar and lower Sivalik ranges of the Himalayas. Groves are mostly found in Uttarakhand state of India. Story behind origin of Rudraksh. According to Shiv Puran, there is a trio of Asura brothers named Tarakaksha, Vidyunmali and Kamalaksha, who were the sons of the Asura Tarakasura. These three began to perform severe tapasya. For 100 years they meditated standing only on one leg. For 1,000 more years they lived on air and meditated. They stood on their heads and meditated in this posture for yet another 1,000 years. Brahma was pleased with this difficult tapasya. He appeared before them and said, "What boon do you want?" "Make us immortal," answered Tarakasura's sons. "I can't make you immortal," replied Brahma. "I don't have the power. Ask for something else instead." "Very well, then," said Tarakaksha, Vidyunmali and Kamalaksha. "Grant us the following, let 3 forts be made. The first will be of gold, the second of silver and the third of iron. We will live in these forts for 1,000 years. These forts built in different worlds shall align once in every 1,000 years. This combined fort will be called Tripura. And if anyone can then destroy Tripura with only a single arrow, that shall be the death destined for us." This rather unusual boon Brahma granted. There was a Danava named Maya who was very good at building work. Brahma asked him to build the forts. The golden fort was built in heaven, the silver one in the sky and the iron one on earth. Tarakaksha got the golden fort, Kamalaksha the silver one and Vidyunmali the iron one. Each of the forts was as big as a city and had many palaces and vimanas inside. The Asuras populated the 3 forts and began to flourish. The gods did not like this at all. They first went to Brahma, but Brahma said he could not help them. After all, the Asuras had got Tripura thanks to his boon. The gods then went to Shiva for help. But Shiva said that the Asuras were doing nothing wrong. As long as that was the case, he did not see why the gods were so bothered. They next went to Vishnu, who suggested that if the problem was that the Asuras were doing nothing wrong, then the solution was to persuade them to become sinners. Out of his powers Vishnu created a man. This man's head was shaven, his clothes were faded and he carried a wooden water pot in his hands. He approached Vishnu. "What are my orders?" he asked Vishnu. "Let me explain to you why you have been created," replied Lord Vishnu. "I will teach you a religion that is completely against the Vedas. You will then get the impression that there is no Swarga, heaven, and no Naraka, hell, and that both heaven and hell are on earth. You will not believe that rewards and punishments for deeds committed on earth are meted out after death. Go to Tripura and teach the demons this religion, by which they will be dislodged from the righteous path. Then we will do something about Tripura." The being did as he had been asked to. He and 4 of his disciples went to a forest that was near Tripura and began to preach. They were trained by Vishnu himself. Therefore, their teachings were convincing and they had many converts. Even the sage Narada got confused and was converted. In fact, it was Narada who carried news of this wonderful new religion to King Vidyunmali. "King," he said, "there is a wonderful new teacher with a wonderful new religion. I have never heard before. I have been converted." Since the great sage Narada had been converted, Vidyunmali also accepted the new religion, and in due course, so did Tarakaksha and Kamalaksha. The Asuras gave up revering the Vedas, they stopped worshipping Shiva Linga. Now the gods then went to Shiva and began to pray to him. When Shiva appeared, they told him that the Asuras had now become evil and should be destroyed. They had even stopped worshipping Shiva's Linga. Shiva agreed to destroy Tripura. Vishwakarma was the architect of the gods. Shiva called Vishwakarma and asked him to make a suitable chariot, bow and arrow. The chariot was made entirely out of gold. Brahma himself became the charioteer and the chariot was speedily driven towards Tripura. The gods accompanied Shiva with diverse weapons. At the end of the stipulated time period, Shiva fashioned his weapons and accessories for war from various cosmic elements. The moment the 3 aerial cities converged, when Shiva's army reached the battlefield, the 3 forts were about to merge into a single Tripura, which condition would last for just a second. Shiva mounted on his chariot and with Brahma as the charioteer, he sped upwards. He took out his Pinaka bow and hit the converged cities with a single arrow which was none other than Vishnu. The cosmic arrow destroyed the 3 cities in Taittiriya Sanhita of the Krishna Yajurveda. Lord Shiva invoked the most destructive weapon controlled by him, the Pashupatastra. The destroyer's capable arms fired a single arrow into the 3 forts at the exact instant they merged into one, thus burning to ashes the 3 forts of the Asuras. Shiva thus earned himself the epithet Tripurantika, the one who ended Tripura, and Pashupatinath, wielder of the Pashupatastra. This occurred on the full moon day in the Kartik month day of Pushya Nakshatra, and therefore the day is celebrated as Tripurari Purnima. After the demolition of Tripuras, Lord Shiva returned to the Himalayas, and there while he closed his eyes and meditated for some time and opened his eyes, few droplets of tears fell from them on the earth. The earth where the tears fell, later gave rise to Rudraksha trees.